Hey guys, welcome back to Bible Fun with the Duns. Today we studied the book of Acts chapter 25, so let's get started.
Alright, so in this chapter, Paul continues to be on trial. And there's this guy, and his name is Festus, and then this other guy named Agrippa walks into the story. And so while Paul is on trial, they're kind of investigating him, but they realize we don't have anything to blame him for because he didn't do anything wrong. And so now they're kind of just debating his beliefs of Jesus and all that stuff.
So a couple takeaways from this. Number one, you can't help but see a sense of hope just in the way Paul acts and the way he's going through all of this. He's using it as a way to minister to them as he's giving his testimony, which I'm sure Mom's going to talk about later because she just smiled at that. But also he's super calm throughout this whole ordeal. He has no trouble speaking. He has no trouble with any sort of...
Is that how you would be, or would you fist fight?
I'll fight everybody.
That's what
my gosh.
He's being peaceful.
I know, he's being peaceful. So he's obviously further along in his sanctification than I am.
Okay.
But we're getting there.
Okay.
But anyway, instead of dropping everybody right there, Paul he's very peaceful, number one, and he keeps his hope in God, and so he has no sense of anxiety or anything that it tells us or that it shows, and so that's just really incredible to take and apply to our lives as well. As we go through our own hard times and our own trials and maybe even our own persecution, we need to set our eyes on God and kind of look towards Him so that we have that peace and we have that sense of comfort so that we don't face that anxiety and we can just push through with peace, knowing that He is God and He is good and He has a plan. So second, you can't help but reminisce back to when Jesus was on the cross. He was before all these people, and everyone is so insistent upon Jesus dying, even in His innocence. And everybody knew He was innocent. They had an investigation and everything. Everybody, there was proof of His innocence because there was no proof of His wrongdoing. And so it's kind of the same case with Paul here. And so it's just so incredible to see somebody literally walking in Jesus' shoes and facing the same kind of persecution. And so as Christians, as followers of the way, we're going to it may not look exactly like this where people are trying to martyr us for our beliefs. But we're definitely going to face some kind of persecution. And so to do that, we can, all of this comes back together. We can have peace in knowing Jesus went through the same stuff and He had peace throughout it all. And so, just look towards God during all of it.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So there's a prevailing theme, and I mentioned it earlier this week, but as we read through this, it almost looks senseless. It's easy for us to probably say, what is the point of this? In fact, before Paul goes in front of Festus and Agrippa, he was in jail under Felix's leadership for 2 years. And that's something we kind of talked about. With our earthly eyes, that looks so senseless. It looks like such a waste of time. It looks like things are out of control. But really, everything is working for Paul's good. And for God's purposes and for God's glory. Everything is working under the sovereignty of God just according to His plan, whether Paul thinks so or not. And I agree with, he seems peaceful, he seems cool, calm, and collected as he stands before these powerful leaders, giving his testimony over and over and over again. And so maybe Paul is BFF with God and knows, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, even though that's imprisoned. And for really, really long time. In fact, for the rest of his life at this point. And so as we look at this story, I'm just reminded of God uses us where we are. There are no coincidences. He has us in specific areas and places, no matter what we think with our earthly minds. No, prison is not where I would really love to do ministry. But God is using every single bit of it to the point where the gospel is being shared in these areas where they're taking Paul, and not just with anyone, but with some of the most powerful leaders, the most influential people. And so as we apply that to our own lives, do you see where you are every single day? Do you see it as an accident, or let me trudge through this day just to mark it off the calendar? Or do you see every single day you have a purpose for God's kingdom? You have a reason for being everywhere you are. Even if you get stuck in traffic on the way to work. You might be there for such a time as that. You might be there for God's plan and God's purposes. All right, friends, we are loving Acts. We're almost done with it. We thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.